Penny Pierce.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, very good. It's very good to connect with you again. I just
Yes.
want to remind the people that are watching here that you're the author of many books, including your latest one is Frequency, The Power of Personal Vibration. And this is such an important topic right now, especially as we're talking about 2012. And I wanted to have your view on 2012 and what's currently happening. What is this all about for you, Penny?
Yes. Well, I feel like we've been in a process of energy acceleration for a long time, actually, and it's getting extremely intense last year and this year. And what that means really is that the vibration of the earth itself is increasing, and that means that the vibration in our bodies is increasing as well, because we're part of the earth. The bodies are physical. So as that energy increases, it expands our sense of what we can do, what we can know, and things start happening more and more in the present moment. Mm-hmm. So it seems like time is accelerating because everything's in the present moment, which makes it instantaneous.
Yeah.
Right? So we're all experiencing this kind of acceleration of a variety of things.
Yeah.
And part of what happens also with this acceleration is that, the subconscious mind, which is a kind of a low vibration, it's fear, can no longer remain in place. That vibration is not really on the planet anymore. And so that stuff starts popping up to the surface like popcorn.
Yeah.
And coming into the conscious mind. And societal subconscious stuff is coming into current events. It's coming into the news, which is the conscious mind of society.
Yeah.
And so what's happening then is that we're flooded with a lot of negativity right now. And there's a lot of distortion going on in terms of how we deal with that negativity. So what I sense a lot around the 2012 issue is that people are getting distorted ideas of catastrophes that are going to happen associated with that time. What I think it is more is that it is a time where we're going to be living very, very much in the present moment, almost as though linear time will stop. And we'll have a much stronger sense of what I call the intuition age.
Yeah.
I've been saying that we've been moved out of the industrial age into the information age, and now we're making that shift into the intuition age, which is spiritually based. It's energy based. It's not solid and concrete, based on matter and proof. It's experiential, and it's very fast. And it's very much based on the unified field and the new physics principles, quantum physics principles, where, we're in a flow of particles. We're here, we're not here, we're here, we're form, we're form, we're no form. And you can't stop that. You can't freeze that with your mind anymore and think that there's just one reality. So things are in flux. So I think 2012 is going to be a really exciting time if you're in a growth pattern. If you're opening up and you're in the flow and you're getting rid of all the old sort of clutter of old ways of thinking, then you're going to shoot through, just have an amazing kinds of openings.
So what are some kind of those old way of that you're referring to here?
Well, part of it has to do with the idea that everything has to be gradual. Now, not everything is totally instantaneous because we do have to grow and become mature human beings.
Yeah.
But things don't have, like therapy, for instance. 10, 20 years ago, it was talk therapy that took 20 years.
Yeah.
Now you can have instantaneous healings. You can be in the present moment and things can dissolve. It's very different. So graduality is one thing. Thinking that we have to control our reality or have fixed beliefs.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my worldview and this is the way it works, and and this is my identity. I got a PhD and blah blah blah. So we're giving up our identity. We're giving up our beliefs. We're giving up all the fixations and the places we hold ourselves. so that we can be in the flow, so that we can what do you want to say? Reinvent ourselves every moment.
Wow.
I'm here, then really I'm blinking out, then I'm back, and then I'm blinking out, then I'm back. And every time I come back, I get a chance to be new.
Uh-huh.
And to be more in tune with the way the world is flowing and less out of step. So the more you get rid of that kind of clutter, another part of that might be old beliefs you got from your parents.
Yeah.
And from society about how everything has to be. Like, don't be too loud, don't be too magnificent, don't be too funny, or you won't fit in.
So all those challenges really happening right now in the economy, or people losing their job and all that, are meant to be, aren't they?
I do believe so. I think it is the symptom of old structures failing. And those old structures are basically based on control, patriarchy, the survival of people who have most power. It's not based on collective consciousness, which is what we're moving into.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think we're going to see a lot of change in the next few years around organizational structures and management and business and the way groups do things together. Look at Facebook. I mean, my gosh, how fast did that grow?
Yeah.
And I've made some really great friends through Facebook. I've never even met them physically.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're as close to me as a lifelong friend. And how does that happen?
Yeah.
So we're going into these collectives, and the rugged individual who has to make it all on their own and, push. That's not true anymore. Yeah. You can have a lot of help now, if you ask for it and if you allow it. And you can have almost like miracles. I mean, I'm even thinking that in the next couple of years, these things we used to call superpowers are going to become much more ordinary. Like precognition and manifesting and dematerialization and things that used
telepathy.
To be. Yes, telepathy. Those things are not science fiction anymore.
Mm-hmm. So the paranormal is going to become normal.
Normal, yes. And so it will be much more normal to know anything you need to know. And you don't have to study and memorize it and work so hard to
Right. It's a lot of hard work otherwise, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's too slow.
Yeah, too slow.
So we're noticing a lot of things are just too slow anymore. Yeah. That means that we're starting to notice that there's an old paradigm that's too linear. Uh-huh. It's too much about cause and effect. Because when you come into the present moment, you don't have cause and effect. Bam, you think it's right there in the moment with you. So you're getting the ability to change things very rapidly, Yeah. Yeah, so I'm very optimistic about it. I've been feeling that there's a kind of a simultaneous thing that's happening where the old structures are fading out, like the lights fade down, and the new ones are coming up. So it's a bypassing, right? And it's simultaneous. And as the people become more high frequency and go with that flow and let the energy run through them without stopping it, we're going to have a huge amount of innovation.
Yeah.
That's the next thing. We're going to have inventions and new technologies and solutions to old problems that we've been wrestling with for years.
But that can create, in the meantime, some confusion, though, with those different energies. Because one time we're in the flow, one time we're not. We're so much more conscious. So how do we deal with that?
Well, that's part of what we're in this year, last year, and this year is, first of all, recognizing the way the new reality could feel, where you're being your best self and you love it, and this is normal, the new normal, right? And so getting a felt sense of that and saying, okay, here's what that's like. Now I'm rocking back to the old way, and it feels so slow and prehistoric and awful, and I'm boring. Like, do I want to do this anymore? No. So I'm going back to this other way, and I'm going to choose the new way.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of choice right now. Choose, because we have to create a new habit.
Yeah.
We're too programmed to accept the self-sacrificial habit from the olden days,
Yeah.
you know, where you had to be too humble or too small or too quiet. And now you can be any way you want if you're in tune with the moment and you let the flow show you where to go. And that's the way we're going to survive, is by really taking our cues from our intuition in the moment, or I call it from your inner perceiver, you know, that part of you that notices things. You have to trust that, you know, and not get too far ahead of yourself, but stay right there and
Step by step.
yes, step by step, and make sure that the choices you make are in accordance with your home frequency, which is that, your soul in your body, or your open heart, the open-hearted feeling. When you like yourself, you know, that's the home frequency. When you're being yourself, really, and you like it. And then pretty soon then that vibration gets saturated through your body. And then through the field all around you.
What do you mean saturated?
Well, you become totally convinced.
Okay.
In your subconscious, your physical consciousness, your emotional consciousness, your mental consciousness, that it's all one continuum, right? Then your new opportunities start manifesting out of that vibration, and it's much higher, meaning those things will be more supportive, more loving, more lucky. Things will work. You'll have synchronicity as a normal part of the way things work. And good luck, basically. And you'll get to do what you love.
So do we have to do this for a certain amount of time? I'm sure some people, and I get often that question, how long do we have to stay in this for it to materialize?
Because if you're in the present moment, there's no duration of time. Yeah. You can't measure it. If you do it 100%, in the moment, you've done it, right? Then, of course, consciousness oscillates. We're in clarity, then we get confused. Then we go back to clarity, then we get confused. So we have to keep choosing. Every time you notice that you're not quite feeling very good, then you can choose again to go back into the home frequency. And then you've done it 100%.
So would you say you're more and more? Yeah, there's no future. And would you say you're more and more?
You become more and more able to stay in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to choose it and not be knocked off sides by other people who are afraid and, you know, nervous and so forth.
So how can we not protect ourselves, but how can we not be affected by other lower frequencies?
It's just this habit. You know, we're going to be affected by lower frequencies. That's the nature of the body. We are tribal. We match frequencies. We connect with each other through vibration. We always try to find harmony between two people by matching each other. So now your job then is to stay at a high frequency and let others match you, rather than you going down and matching something of a lower frequency. And that is just a life choice. It's just something you have to practice. And you do it selfishly, really, because you don't want to feel bad.
Yeah, but you still hear it, and it can still affect you.
You can, and then you just shift, but you get recentered again.
Okay.
Because if you go into a low frequency or into fear, you can't solve problems very well. You don't get good guidance, you know. So you have to stay centered in order to get the right guidance now. That's very important. Now, I'm seeing right now a lot of people coming out with prophecies and the surfacing of the indigenous grandmothers and somebody named the little grandmother who's...
Oh, yes, I've seen that, yeah.
Yes, and it's kind of interesting that the feminine is coming up, which is going to be, I think, very important in us understanding the new unified reality, you know, or the intuition age. It's about really perceiving the world from the right brain.
Yeah.
And it's going to shift the way we actually see reality and the way reality functions, too. So the feminine is coming up, but I'm also seeing these prophecies coming out, which are a lot of fear-based stuff or ego involved in these prophecies. You better wake up now, you know, and remember who you are, or else, you know. frankly, I don't like that kind of energy. I think it's misleading. And anywhere where fear is present, you're not getting a clear view.
Yeah.
And so if you can get yourself calm, centered, in your home frequency, then you're going to create a reality around yourself that's contagious in its positive nature, and bring other people will come into it, and it'll grow faster. And the transformation of people can happen faster. So I think it's very important to stay real, stay in the moment. And I really don't see a lot of negative things. I've been seeing that
Really?
it may be that there are going to be a lot more people who die. I don't see that necessarily as negative, because a lot of people have emotional bodies that are very weighted down with negativity. Mm-hmm. And it may be too much for them to be able to totally let it go and understand how another reality could function. Mm-hmm. And it might be actually easier to just leave the body and then come back again later and do it, when with a new body.
Well, so I take a person spiritually in tune to understand that.
Yes, but even if they don't know, it's not a negative thing in my perception.
Yeah.
Because it's actually an act of compassion. Otherwise, they're way too confused and chaotic. And I feel that there may be some. I call it in this letter I wrote for 2010 this year. I did a kind of a prognostication for it. That I think there's going to be the beginning of droughts and changes in agriculture and food shortages and water problems and food and water being moved around the planet, that kind of thing. And sort of these, I was calling them popcorn tragedies, where like Haiti and the oil spill and things that were going to come up closer and closer and closer together like popcorn popping. Mm-hmm. They used to be more separated through time, and now they're a little faster paced and closer together. Mm-hmm. I also think there's going to be an awful lot of migrations of people out of their countries for various reasons and flooding into other countries and inabilities to take care of those people who come in. So that immigration is going to be a huge problem in the next few years, all around the world, not just here, but everywhere. And I think we have to learn to have everyone be a problem solver. You can't just rely on the upper leaders. Mm-hmm. Everyone has to take responsibility for creating solutions.
Yeah.
Everywhere, because we're all doing it together now.
Yeah, I think it's a new kind of leadership that is emerging. It's a leadership, everybody takes leadership.
It is, because and probably we'll see that reflected in the failure of governments to be able to handle the proportion of problems that are coming. So the people themselves are going to have to solve it. It'll shift us into these collectives, which is evolution.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
are the new values what are those new values that we need, that we're going to nurture?
I think it has to do really with the golden rule, if you go all the way back to that, of treating other people like they are yourself, because they are. Mm-hmm. Treating nature like it is part of you, and it is. You can't separate from anything anymore. It's all interconnected and interdependent. So those values, really, of caring for things, that's going to be so important. And slowing down. I think right now we're so overwhelmed with energy that it's making us get hyperactive emotionally and mentally, and we're texting and distracted by a million things. With media, and now I just read that all the books, the publishers are putting all of, not only their new titles, but they're going back and putting all the backlist titles on ebook. Yeah. So within a couple years, we're going to have millions more books available, and the clutter of information is going to be astounding. So how do you sort through that?
Yeah.
have to get quiet.
Yeah.
To feel what's real for you in that moment, what you need in that moment. So I think we may have a backlash against, all this media stuff for a while.
Yeah.
Where people go, I don't know how it's going to look, back to nature, or, meditation rooms, or, something where people learn how to get quiet.
Yeah. So what do you do when you're in a moment where you have to make a decision and tap in your intuition? Is there a particular exercise or something, or a position, or something that you do to really check in?
I just get quiet. I drop into my body. I get inside my skin, and I focus myself in the center of my head, right down in the middle.
Cool.
Like right in the middle of the brain. And I get quiet and I breathe and I relax and connect with my inner perceiver, that part of me inside that I figure it knows what's going on. And then I ask a question. Or I say, what do I need to know about this situation? Or why am I noticing this situation right now? Is there a meaning here that I'm supposed to see? And then I just trust what comes.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, sometimes it doesn't come immediately, but it'll come in an hour, or as you're driving, it'll pop up later. So I just try to stay alert, to basically the answers I get from my own inner mind. Or sometimes you'll hear it in a song title, or you'll hear it, somebody else will just happen to say it, and you go, oh, that's it,
And
so
it will be obvious. When it comes, it's obvious that that's the answer.
It's ding,
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's a kind of mindfulness practice, I guess you would say, or an alertness practice.
Yeah.
That we can't be all that distracted and fragmented anymore. We have to get centered and unify ourselves.
And slowing down.
I think, or we're going to have physical repercussions, of nervous problems, all kinds of illnesses, stress problems that are even more than we've ever had before. There are vibrational illnesses, from being too buzzy, So, but we're learning how to manage energy, because we're living in an energy world. We're getting information through energy, through our ultra sensitivity of our body, and so we have to learn how to speak that language, how to interpret it, and that's a new skill. I think we're all starting to learn it now, and telepathy is going to be very common.
So on the resumes, it's going to change. It's going to say, skills and hobbies.
Yeah.
There'll be a whole bunch of very important things there.
Yes.
Well,
right.
That's wonderful speaking with you, Penny, as always, and those conversations goes by so quickly.
Oh, yeah.
But thank you so much for sharing all this.
It's very fun. Thanks.